Hey guys, this is my ironing mat. It's a nice mat, and I have just never taken the time to make a cover for it, and that's today's goal. So I laid it down here on my cutting mat, and it is showing me it is 24 inches tall by 17. So I'm going to grab some muslin. No real reason I'm using muslin other than I had plenty here at home. So I'm just going to see if this small piece is going to be big enough. It is not, as you can see. So let me grab another piece. Okay, so I found this piece of a sheet I'm going to use instead, and it's pretty thick, so I think instead of making the one layer and putting elastic on the back to pull it in, I think I'm going to make it more like a pillowcase. That way it'll be easy to take on and off if I want to wash it, you know, from starching a lot of things, that kind of thing. So I'm just going to square this up. Okay, so I've got it cut 20 inches across because it was 17 inches that way. So that gives me several inches to play with, plus this is pretty thick. So when I lay it down, of course this is two thicknesses, but to make sure it's covered there, that still gives me a lot of room for a seam. And then looking at the same at the bottom, I think what I need to do up here is just cut off a few inches, and we should be good to go. We should be ready to sew. And I'll probably, because I do have a lot of wiggle room, I may do French seams on this so we don't have to worry about it raveling. Okay, so we're at the sewing machine, and before I do the side seams, I do want to hem the two ends just like you would a pillowcase. So we'll go ahead and get that done, and then we'll be ready to work on the French seams. This is leaving, you know, little holes almost. You can even hear it when I'm sewing with it. And I realized I have a denim needle in. So I'm going to go back to a regular needle. I think when I iron this, those little holes will be fine. The steam from the iron and the heat will cause it to contract. But still, I wanted to go ahead and change it back. Okay, when you're doing a French seam, you want to start, instead of right sides together, you're going to start with wrong sides together. Okay, and now we're going to turn it with the wrong sides out now, so the right sides are facing each other. I'm just going to use my scissors and Try to get that corner poked out a little square. Doesn't have to be perfect, but a little square would be nice. And the same on this side. Okay. So now what we want to do, we're going to be taking another seam, and we just want to make sure the seam is big enough that it's catching the other seam, so that you're not seeing any threads or anything like that. You want it to be nice and clean. So just take the time to make sure that you can feel your seam and make sure you're sewing just to the left of it. Alright, and let's just pull this through and take a look at it. Okay, so you can see it caught the seam on the inside, so now there is no raw edges that will ever be a burden. Okay, so that's a French seam. I'm going to go ahead and do the other side. Okay, so you can see it slid right in there, and it even has some wiggle room on the sides. So if you did want it to be really, really tight, you could be more precise with your measurements. I just wanted a nice cover on there that was cotton, so that it would keep the length off of this and not be such a hassle. But yep, looks good. And because it is a big thick piece of wool, I can always flip the sides and then wash when I feel necessary. So anyway, if you guys are using these wool mats, I just thought I would throw this idea out there. Have a great day.